Hi friends, welcome to my channel, and today in this video I am going to show you how to create Pooled VDI with remote desktop services on Windows Server 2016. So as we know, remote desktop services on a RDS is going to provide mainly three types of features to use the remote desktop services. The first one is remote desktop itself, means it's going to use a remote desktop session host server, or you can call terminal server, where user can log in and multiple users can log into single session host server, terminal server, and they can do their work. And the second is virtual desktop. Virtual desktop is a VDI solution where user is going to get the dedicated desktop when they logged in, and they can work on those machines like particular Windows client machine, and they can save their work, and they can use those virtual desktop as a dedicated virtual machines for them itself, like we have a physical machine. Which and the last one is we have a here we have a application remote application, where the application is installed on a terminal server or a session host server, and user can randomly log in into any application, and they can use the application which is installed on terminal server or a session host server. So in this video I'm going to focus on this particular part, which is virtual desktop deployment by using the remote desktop services. So we have two types of VDI deployment in a remote desktop services. The first one is personal, and personal means every time when the user is going to log on, they are going to use their dedicated machine, which is personally assigned to those individual users. And the pooled one means, like, the VDI is not dedicated to anyone. Whenever any user is going to log into VDI server, VDI desktop, they are going to get the next virtual machine, which is virtual desktop, which is available for those users to serve. So let's move, and we'll see how it's going to work in a real infrastructure and what we have in our demo environment. So I having three virtual machine which is acting as a server. So here you can see the first machine is Win2K16 DC01, which is my Active Directory, DNS and DHCP server. This machine is running on Windows Server 2016. So this machine having IP address 192.168.1.254, and my domain name is victorinfosol.com, and it's assigned 8 gig of RAM. So let's verify this machine first. So here's the machine. You can see Active Directory, DHCP and DNS roles is running on this machine. So this is my domain control and a DHCP server both. And if I go to local server, you can see the machine configurations. It's joined to victorinfosol.com, and it's having 8 gig of memory, and it's running on virtual infrastructure on a VMware workstation. And my second server is a RDS01, which is my going to be a remote desktop server which is going to hold a, you can say, going to hold a connection broker, remote app, and these roles basically. So here is my server. If I go here, you can see this is my remote Win2K16 RDS01. If I go to local, you can see this machine is Win2K16 RDS01, and this is joined in my domain, and it's having IP address configured, 16 gig of RAM to this machine. If I go to C drive, you can see the C drive is size of around 60 gig only. So this is my RDS server, which is going to be a remote desktop connection broker, and which is going to install the remote desktop services also. And my next and last server is Win2K16 HV01. This is my Hyper-V host or a Hyper-V server. I have assigned 64 gig of RAM to this machine, and you can see the machine is joined in my domain victorinfosol.com. So here's the machine, you can see. So it's having 64 gig of RAM, and it's assigned to my this infrastructure domain, which is victorinfosol.com, and the host name is Win2K16 HV01. So right now I have not installed any role on these Hyper-V hosts on RDS server, so we are going to do it together in this video and going to see how we can configure a pooled VDIs. And the last three, I have a thin client machines which is Windows 7 based, TH01, TH02 and TH03. You can see these are the thin client devices. If I go to properties, you can see this is Windows Embedded Standard and it's running on Windows 7, and it's also joining my domain. So this all having this infrastructure, so TH02, and this machine is TH03. So we have a three thin client devices also in place. So before moving, I want to show you my Active Directory infrastructure one more time. So if I go to users and computer, you can see I have created one OU here under my domain called Noida. Under the Noida, I have a server OU which contains both the server on a thin client which contains all the three thin client computer object, and I have a user account which having RDS admin and Hyper-V admin, which is I'm using to logged in here. If I go to and see here, who am I? This is RDS admin, and if I'm going here and type who am I, so it's going to give me Hyper-V admin. So let's start and install the RDS role. So before installing, I want to add my HV01 server in this server manager dashboard on RDS server. So I'm going to add my HV01 here. So you can go here and see once the both server is added, you can see it's in progress. And if everything goes well, you are going to get the server here very soon. So both the server is added now, and now I can go to dashboard and add role and features and click next, and here you can see the role based install or feature based installation, and I am having a remote desktop services installation which is going to install a VDI or a create virtual machine or session based desktop deployment. So I'm going to use this remote desktop services installation. Click next, and we have our standard deployment, quick deployment and multi-point. So I'm going to use the standard deployment type where I have to create the deployment and collection by myself manually, and it's going to use the remote desktop services across multiple servers. So click next, and here you can see the select deployment scenario. We have two types of scenario here. The first one is a Windows a virtual machine based desktop deployment, and second one is a session based desktop deployment. So the virtual machine based deployment, I can go to back previous slide and you can show you this is the virtual desktop which we're going to do, and this is our terminal server deployment which is going to be a remote desktop session host server or the remote app. So we need to deploy this remote desktop Pooled VDI. So I have to select this virtual desktop deployment, so virtual machine based desktop deployment. Click next, and here you can see by using the this virtual machine based desktop deployment, we have to install a three role. The first one is a connection broker, and a second one is a RD web access, and the last one is a virtualization host which is going to host on Hyper-V server. It's going to run all the virtual machine on this server. So click next, and you can see you need to specify the RD connection broker. So I'm going to install the RD connection broker on my RDS01. Click next, and next I have a RD web access. So I'm going to install the RD web access role on the same RDS connection server. So it's recommended, I'm going to do it. And the last one, we have to select a virtualization host. So this is my Hyper-V host where I want to put my virtual machines, because it's having 64 gig of RAM and I want to use this machine as a Hyper-V server. So I'm going to add this and a virtualization host, and here you can see create a new virtual switch on a selected servers. So basically virtual switch is going to require, because the virtual machine is going to have a NIC which need to assign to virtual machine to communicate over the physical network. So by default I don't have any Hyper-V host yet ready, so I want to install the Hyper-V role on this machine. So I have to click I'm going to select this, so it's going to automatically create one virtual switch in our Hyper-V host. So good to go. Click next, and it's just validating the things. If everything looks good, it's going to give us the option on a confirmation page, and then we can deploy this all the stuff which we have just gone through by this wizard. So here we go, you can see RD virtualization host. The following server may be restarted. The role service is installed. So yes, this server is going to restart because we are installing the Hyper-V role on this machine, and new virtual switch you can see we have selected, so it's yes. And let's go and click on deploy. So it's going to deploy the roles and reboot the servers, whatever is required. So you can see now it's started the progress and is in progress. So this deployment is going to take around 2 or 3 minutes. It's depending on your machine configuration, machine performance also, and how much machine you have to reboot. Likely if you have a physical virtualization Hyper-V host server which you want to put as a Hyper-V host, it's going to take some time to reboot. Because of the physical server, it's going to take around 5 minutes to get the reboot. So everything looks good now. So it's installing. So it's installing web access role now. Soon it's going to install a Hyper-V role and the machine is going to reboot the Hyper-V host. So now everything looks good for now, and now you can see it's installing the Hyper-V role on this machine. So installing is almost done. Now you can see it's restarting, so it's going to restart our Hyper-V host. So you can see it's getting restarted now. So I am going to pause the recording. Once this machine is rebooted, we are going to resume from there. So now the machine is rebooted. Hit Ctrl+Del to log into this machine. I'm going to put the Hyper-V credential. So everything looks good here on Hyper-V server. So just wait and see. Yes, you can see the Hyper-V role is enabled on this machine, and also you can see the remote desktop services installed. So you can see the connection broker role is services is succeeded, the web access role is succeeded, and now it's finalizing the virtualization host. So it's going to take some time. So this is also done. We are good to go and close this now. So I'm going to close this, and everything looks good here on the RDS server. So now it's time to create a pooled VDI for the demo. So I'm going to click on my collection. I'm going to select task, create virtual machine collection. So click next, and it's some description what is the requirement for the creating the collection. So we are good to go. Click next. I'm going to call it VDI pool. So click next, and here we have a collection type, which is personal, means dedicated for virtual machine is going to dedicate to users itself individually. And pool means whenever the virtual machine is available, it's going to assign, and once the user log off, it's going to release, and it will be available in pool to get assigned to new users. So here you can see the automatically create and manage desktop image. So I'm going to select this, otherwise you can see these images are going to hide. So I'm going to show this how it works. So click next, and here you can see the virtual desktop template, because we don't have any virtual machine template here on our RDS Hyper-V host server. So I'm going to create this, and then we can proceed with the collection. So we require a template, so I'm going to create a template first. So I'm going to open up my Hyper-V manager, and I already have mounted my Windows 10 installation media on my DVD drive. So I'm going to create a virtual machine here, and I'm going to call it like Pooled VDI master. Click next, and I'm going to use the generation one. I'm going to assign RAM to this machine. It's 8 gig. Click next, and I'm going to add with the RDS virtual network, which is we have created during this RDS installation. So click next, and the size of the disk want to set to 61 gig. Click next, and on the installation I'm going to install for my DVD drive. Click finish. So machine has been created, and now I'm just want to change the core of this machine, and then we can proceed with the installation. So here we go. I'm going to power this machine. So this is a simple Windows 10 installation. So you can see here, this is a Windows 10 Enterprise. So I'm going to install here. Click next, and I'm going to click next to install this. So I'm going to pause the recording for the installation to save your time, and once the installation is done, I'm going to show you how to prepare the master image for the VDI collection. So I'm going to pause. Once the machine is ready, I'm going to resume from there. So here you can see I have logged into my machine, and it's installed successfully. So I'm going to remove my DVD drive from this machine now, and going to run the sysprep to prepare this machine for a template. So I'm going in system32 and going in sysprep folder. There we have a sysprep.exe. I'm going to journalize machine and put the shutdown. So this is going to take some time to run it, and then we are good to go and create the VDI template, VDI's collection by using this template. So let's wait till the machine is going to shut down, and then we can start. And you can see the machine has been turned off, and we are good to go. And I'm just going to remove this DVD drive, and it's no longer required this machine. So we are good with everything. I'm going to put the CD drive lower in the boot. So everything looks good now. So now I'm going to back, and next it's not going to refresh, so I have to go to cancel this and create a new collection again. I'm going to put here VDI pull. Click next, and the pulled virtual desktop collection, and click next, and here we have a pulled VDI master. So going to click next. Now it's going to validate the VDI template. So everything looks good, we are good to go. Click next, and here we can see unattended. So where you want to put your machine after joining this new VDIs, after joining this domain. So I'm going to put here on a VDI OU. So to get this, I want to get the this name, distriction's name. So I'm going here on my AD and going to connect ADS SI edit to get the name path, correct path. So I'm going to connect it, and from here you can see Noida. Under the Noida I have this. I'm going to click on properties, and I'm going to copy the extension name and going to put here. So the machine is going to create here. So good to go. Click next, and how much machine you want. So I'm going to tell it 4, create 4 machine, and I'm going to call it like W10 hyphen, and suffix I'm going to start from 1. So the VDI is going to be a 1, 2 and 3 and 4, so 4 machine, and I'm having no virtual desktop. Click next, and I'm going to put the default path to store a virtual machine, which is going to be a default path, and I'm going to click here, by default it's selected, so automatically roll back the virtual machine when the users log off. So this means whenever the user is going to log off, the virtual machine is going to revert back to snapshot or checkpoint automatically. So good to go. Click next. Now I'm not going to use the profile disk, use the profile disk for now, so uncheck this, click next, and here we go. What we are going to do. So machine is format this and the 4 VDIs, so all details is good. Click on create. So now you can see export the virtual desktop is running, so it means on a Hyper-V machine it's exporting the Pooled VDI template. So you can go and see what going on in network traffic. So you can see it's exporting the machine, and it's copying the machine from the server to my RDS server under the RD virtualization template. If I go here, you can see the virtual hard drive is being copied, and the virtual machine settings is also going to be copied. So it's you can see the traffic which is generated by copy from the Hyper-V host to this RD connection broker, where it's saving the virtual machine template. So everything looks good now, so we have to wait. So now you can see the export is completed and the network traffic is stopped, and now it's going to create the virtual machine. So we have to wait for a few seconds, and now you can see the export is completed, and now it's showing the virtual machine is being created. So you can again see the traffic which is going to use, and here you can see, if I refresh this, here soon you are going to see the virtual machine is going to be created. So it's copying the master image again to the Hyper-V host, and then it's going to create the virtual machines by using that template. So you can see now it's having the send traffic, before it's having the receive traffic. So almost copy is completed, and now if I go here, soon you can see it's started the virtual machine creation. So now you can see it's started one created first machine, and it's customizing this machine. And if I go here on a disk, you can see the disk is being created here. So everything looks good now. You need to give some time to get this deployment done. So I'm waiting for the deployment, and meanwhile I'm going to check the RDS is working or not. So I'm going to open my RDS here. On a desktop, I'm going to launch the Chrome. So I'm going to open the RD web app. So I'm going to use https:// and win2k16 -rds01 and RD web. So the connection is, we have not installed the certificate, so it's not going to be a secure connection. So you can see your connection is not a private, so it's fine. Proceed with this unsafe. And now I'm going to put here like my domain name, and the user which I want to log in. So you can see here, I can see the icon of my VDI pooled. So I'm going to click on it, and you can see it's downloaded the file which is going to connect to my this VDI. So I'm going to call it like VDI pool, rename this, and I'm going to distribute it to my thin client desktop. So I'm going to copy this, and here's my thin client 1, thin client 2, and thin client 3. So on the all the machines now, thin client machines having this shortcut to launch the VDI and connect with the VDI. So then the user is not required to log into this web page. So I have just closed it, and now you can see the progress, what's going on. So it's going to save the machine now. You can see it's saving the machine, and it's stopped. Now it's creating the checkpoint. So as I told you, whenever its machine user is going to logged off, it's going to basically revert that machine to here RDV rollback, which is created now. So it's good news, everything looks good. Now if I go here, I refresh this, you can see the object is going to create here by default Windows 10 operating system, Windows 10 2016 LTSB. So good to know that, and we have to give some time to create all the 3 machines, then we can start testing. So I'm pausing the recording for now. Once we have all the machines set up ready, I can resume from there, and we can go ahead and test together how it's going to work. So I'm pausing the recording for now. So here we go, the VDI pool collection was created successfully. Go ahead and close this. Now if I go here, you can see we have a 4 VDIs deployed, and all 4 are in a save state on a Hyper-V HV01. If you go here, you can see the same. So we are good to go, and now we are good to test the VDI session. So I'm going on my TH01, and I'm going to connect it, and the password for user 01, and same way I'm going on my TS02, and going to put the password for user 2 and this user 3. So we are good, and now you can see the machine is getting a start. So once the machine is getting a start, user is going to log in, and user is going to take the session. So it's going to take some time for now, because the machine have to power down, and it's going to straight and run. So now you can see the second machine is started. So you can see the wrecking the virtual machine. It means it's going to restart the virtual machine. So this is the good. We're going in and so on. So here you can see we have a 1 session for user 1 on a VDI W10-2. So this is a good news. Soon we are going to get more sessions. So now we can see we have 3 virtual machine in running state, which we have requested by 3 different thin client machines. And if I go here, refresh this, you can see we got 1 session on our VDI pooled. So this is good, and now you can see the VDI 10-4 is going to get the by user 2, and this is still on the securing connection. So we have got all the 3 machines up and 3 machine sessions. So I'm going to refresh this now, and you can see we have all 3 session active in a VDI pool. So this is the good news which we have here. So you can also save the delay, enable the save delay in a minutes where the machine is going to save. So I'm not going to enable this for now. So you can see I have logged into VDI 2. If I go here, you can see I have a session on my VDI Windows 10 machine, and on user 2, and user 3 is still getting load. We have to wait a few more seconds. So got the session on VDI 10-4. So good, 2 machines are ready and the third one is also ready. You can see here. So this is all how we can create a pooled collections and a remote desktop server which is running on Windows Server 2016. So we have successfully created the pooled virtual VDI. So thank you for watching, and please subscribe me for more videos, and if you have any query, any question related to this, you can post me on my given mail IDs. Thank you once again. Bye bye.